People keep asking if I'm back, and I haven't really had an answer. But now, yeah, I'm thinking I'm back.
At a children's hospital in California, life-saving cancer treatments were funded for years by a silent benefactor. Not a foundation, not a corporation, just one man. His name never appeared on a plaque. He never asked for recognition. Yet behind that anonymity was Keanu Reeves, carrying the weight of pain, love, and loss the world never saw coming. The silent childhood. Long before the world knew his name, Keanu Reeves was a child adrift in chaos. Born in Beirut to a father who vanished by the time he was 2, and a mother whose string of failed marriages meant constant uprooting, Keanu never knew what stability felt like. Cities blurred: Sydney, New York, Toronto, while school became a war zone where dyslexia turned every sentence into a struggle. He was labeled difficult, expelled for asking too many questions, when all he sought was clarity in a world that made none. Each time he tried to plant roots, life tore them up again. But amid the disarray, there was one constant: his sister Kim. In her, he found an anchor, the first example of unshakable love that didn't leave. While others walked in and out of their lives, Kim remained, and so did the quiet lessons grief was already teaching him: that love must be protected, and silence often carries more weight than noise. The emotional language Keanu would one day use in film was being written in these formative years, not in dialogue, but in absence, resilience, and a longing for something that felt like home. Grief that never leaves. By the end of 1999, Keanu Reeves stood on the cusp of something rare, not just career success, but a personal life that finally felt whole. His partner, Jennifer Syme, was pregnant with their daughter, and for the first time, the man long haunted by instability allowed himself to dream of permanence. They had prepared a nursery together, folded baby clothes, painted soft walls, picked names whispered in moonlit kitchens. But on Christmas Eve, the silence shattered everything. Their daughter Ava was stillborn. The crib remained empty. The dreams evaporated. The grief wasn't cinematic, it was suffocating. It was a hope that dissolved before it ever touched reality. A dream taken from him before he even had the chance to hold it. In 2001, Jennifer died in a car accident. And just like that, every image of the future he had clung to was gone. The loss came not with spectacle, but with unbearable stillness. Keanu carried Jennifer's casket with the kind of posture no actor rehearses: spine bent, breath shallow, soul collapsing inward. These tragedies didn't pass, they embedded. For him, grief didn't vanish. It simply shifted form, evolving over time, but never fully releasing its hold. That wasn't a quote for headlines, it was a philosophy carved out of loss. In film, he embodied warriors and revolutionaries. Off-screen, he lived as a man in mourning, fighting no visible enemy, but walking with invisible weight. And yet, instead of breaking him, this weight would begin to shape a silent mission that few knew existed, one that had nothing to do with fame. The hidden battles of the body. While audiences marveled at the bullet-dodging spectacle of The Matrix or the brutal choreography of John Wick, few realized what those performances cost. Keanu Reeves didn't just act through pain, he lived in it. During training for The Matrix, he suffered a spinal injury so severe that doctors warned of potential paralysis. With vertebrae fused and a neck brace still clamped around him, he returned to fight training before he could fully heal. Not because he had to, but because he refused to let the audience down. It became a quiet contract with the camera: give everything, even when the cost was his own body. Then came John Wick, more intense, more physical. He fired live rounds at ranges until his fingers blistered, drove vehicles in punishing conditions, and practiced hours of judo and jiu-jitsu well into his 50s. By the time Chapter 4 was released, Keanu's knees were ground down, his joints creaking under years of sacrifice. But no one watching knew. No press tour revealed it. He absorbed the pain with the same stoicism he had carried since childhood, without fanfare, without complaint. His devotion wasn't bravado, it was principle, a personal belief that art, even if built on fiction, must be paid for in truth. In every limp he hid, in every stunt he insisted on performing himself, Keanu made a statement far louder than any promotional interview ever could. Greatness doesn't arrive without suffering, and real heroes carry their pain quietly. The Brothers' War. While the world hailed Keanu Reeves as Neo, or John Wick, he was quietly fighting a far more personal war, one waged in the sterile, humming corridors of hospitals. His sister Kim, just 2 years younger, was diagnosed with leukemia. For years, between press tours and filming schedules, Keanu vanished from the public eye, often retreating to a modest house he bought near Los Angeles solely to be close to her. Roles were declined without explanation. Filming paused without notice. While cameras rolled elsewhere, Keanu sat beside Kim's hospital bed, whispering stories, reading aloud, and holding her hand through sleepless nights. Though she survived, the scars left on both of them ran deep. It wasn't just the trauma of watching someone you love suffer. It was the unbearable helplessness of knowing that no amount of fame or money could guarantee healing. But out of that helplessness, Keanu created something extraordinary. A private charitable foundation that quietly funds cancer research and children's hospitals, without ever attaching his name. One associate later revealed that even the medical staff didn't know the source behind years of funding for pediatric cancer wards. It was never for credit. It was gratitude transformed into action, a vow whispered through hospital walls and lived out in silence. Keanu's most heroic legacy may not be found in cinema, but in the lives he saved without a single curtain call. His fight for Kim became a mission to spare others the same quiet agony, not for show, for love, the bond that broke. In 1993, a call came that shattered what little was left untouched in Keanu Reeves' life. River Phoenix, his co-star, his confidant, his emotional mirror, had died of an overdose outside the Viper Room. He was just 23. For the world, it was another young Hollywood tragedy. But for Keanu, it was the loss of something sacred. River wasn't just a friend. He was family in a way blood couldn't replicate. They had filmed My Own Private Idaho together, a raw, vulnerable performance that revealed more than talent. It revealed trust. Behind the camera, they shared philosophies, silence, and a refuge from Hollywood's noise. When River died, Keanu didn't rage. He didn't spiral, he withdrew. He later said it wasn't denial, it was armor, and that grief, though private, never faded. It seeped into his work, visible in the sorrow that often haunts his eyes on screen. What critics once called detached became, in retrospect, a window into mourning. River's death taught him something permanent, that brilliance offers no shield against fragility. And from that point on, Keanu approached fame not as a gift, but as a responsibility. He didn't just survive loss, he carried it, quietly, into every role, every pause, every breath. The wealth he never flaunted. By the time the Matrix trilogy crowned Keanu Reeves as a global icon, his earnings had soared into the tens of millions. But unlike his peers, Keanu never treated wealth as a spotlight. He didn't buy private islands or collect mansions in every time zone. Instead, he lived in a modest Los Angeles home, drove a used Volvo for years, and commuted by subway long after becoming a household name. His garage housed a few beloved motorcycles, not because they were flashy, but because they offered solitude. What few knew at the time was how much of his wealth had quietly disappeared, given away without press releases, public statements, or photo ops. When The Matrix wrapped, Keanu reportedly redirected tens of millions from his back-end profits to the makeup, stunt, and visual effects teams, saying they deserved to share in the success. But that generosity extended beyond film sets. Behind the scenes, he funded hospitals, cancer research, children's care units, never with a foundation bearing his name, never for recognition. His net worth grew, but his ego never did. In a city defined by image, Keanu subtracted himself from the frame. His legacy wasn't in possessions. It was in the lives quietly improved because he refused to make generosity a performance. What love looks like now. In a world that often confuses romance with spectacle, Keanu Reeves found something quieter, something real. His relationship with artist Alexandra Grant didn't arrive with tabloid fanfare or red carpet drama. It unfolded in private galleries, shared books, and moments of mutual reverence. After decades of profound loss, Keanu didn't fall into love. He grew into it, slowly, like light returning after a long winter. Together, they co-founded a publishing house, created art, and lived without pretense. Their bond isn't performative, it's deliberate, rooted in mutual creation, not possession. For Keanu, whose life had been defined by what was taken away, Alexandra offered something rare, a love that held space instead of filling it, one that asked nothing but presence. And in the calm rhythm of that presence, Keanu didn't just rediscover intimacy, he redefined what endurance looks like when it finally finds peace. The legacy of endurance. Keanu Reeves' story isn't about survival in the face of pain. It's about transformation through it. Every wound he carried became a wellspring of empathy. Every loss, a lesson in grace. While others built legacies on visibility, Keanu's was sculpted in silence, through anonymous generosity, unspoken loyalty, and relentless discipline. His journey reveals that resilience isn't just about bearing the weight of tragedy, but choosing to walk forward with it. In a culture obsessed with spectacle, Keanu reminds us that the quietest lives often hold the loudest truths, that strength doesn't roar. Sometimes it simply endures, with humility, love, and purpose. He never asked to be called a hero, he simply lived like one. If this story moved you, share it, because the world needs more lights like Keanu Reeves. Subscribe for more human stories that remind us, resilience isn't loud, but it changes everything.